And now, Helga My Hedgehog, written and directed by Timothy Vavra. When the young good King Hans returned with his new bride and his father to his kingdom, they were so glad to rejoice and make merriment. The following year the queen gave birth to a beautiful little daughter, and there were many great joys. She inherited her father's strangeness, and as such she was born a hedgehog above and a lady below. But unlike the parents of good King Hans before them, her parents and subsequently the kingdom were overjoyed by Helga My Hedgehog and her adorable hedgehog appearance. Unlike her father, she grew up with her own little bed and her every heart's desire for food. She was raised to shine, standing out as an example of the wonders of the kingdom, and she didn't need much help standing out. Though, unlike her father, her early years were imbued with good esteem and marked by celebration. She was educated in the ways of a princess, but sensibly, and her lessons included riding on a sturdy cockerel, the ablest of the descendants of the very cock rooster her father rode in on all those years ago. She was also tutored in diplomacy and good elocution, but resisted being sent to the kingdom's finishing school for young ladies, as she had other plans for her life. Much pageantry was to be had upon her unveiling as a debutante, so a parade was thrown in honor of her virtues. Before doing so, her father and mother sat down with her over tea to discuss her options in life. They wanted her to be informed as she could do, as King Good Hans had done, to shed her hedgehog skin and have it burned, or to continue being a lady below and a hedgehog above. The good King Hans took to offer her the opportunity not only to change, but instead to stay the same. Helga My Hedgehog thought long and hard about the hard choice before her. Looking at herself in the mirror, she knew that even though she wasn't like the other girls, she was just as special and beautiful, and that what made her different made her that much more wonderful. So she was glad to come to an understanding and come to her parents with her choice. She came to her father, the good King Hans, and said, I have found that I am glad that you made me differently than all the other girls in the land. Persistence is a form of change, and so to choose to persist as a hedgehog lady is my choice. I will lead the parade gladly as I am, sharing of myself with the world just as I was born. There she laid a boisterous charge, honoring the memory of her father's bravery and the diligence that had led them to these fine ends. Such as the parade and the splendor of her youth were golden days indeed. Helga My Hedgehog yearned for more, and then again as much she yearned for less. For the suitors of her father's court were nice enough. She couldn't bear the thought of any of them courting her, and being a boisterous young lass, she wanted to set off on adventures of her own, such as she had been told. Uncomfortable as good King Hans was at choosing among the marriageable for his daughter's own hand in marriage, he was glad of her choice, that she should grant her freedom to choose as she thought best. Having raised her properly and with great love, he was confident that she could. The good King Hans was sorry that he should lose the pleasure of his daughter's presence in his court, that he should have no hand in deciding where and whether and why she should go. But he was a good king and wanted her to be happy. And as headstrong as her father, she took her cockerel rooster freshly shod, a wandering freer than her father ever before her. Provisioned and cherished and supported with eager pleas her early return, or at least she should not sojourn over long. Thus Helga My Hedgehog roved upon the land, and journeyed with good vigour and sense of adventure. When she had seen the diversity of the many lands and the many kingdoms, she found the greenest forests, the sweetest water, the most vibrant flower and fruits, and there she knew she should settle. Helga My Hedgehog had travelled long, and met many in her time. Even though she had never been overly sensitive about her hedgehog visage, she felt comfortable in her own hedgehog skin. As if by providence, upon a clearing with fresh water along the river Moss, she found her intended. And though she knew not, she was meeting her husband when she met a hedgehog man about her age. He wore lederhosen, big painted clogs, and little with spectacles. Though it was not his fashion choices that charmed her when she met him. Rather his kind eyes and gentle demeanour, and how he looked upon her as if she was the sweetest sight his eyes ever saw. He bade her came back to his little cabin in the woods, and she obliged, surmising that she could take him in a tussle. Without awaiting result of that conjecture, she tackled him to the ground as they walked, rolling into a meadow of heather. They both laughed as she shook him about with mirth. Back to his cabin after the tumble, taken in good stride. They were both in merry spirits when they arrived, both famished. He had little but beetroots, oats, and potatoes, who had scabious butterbur and other wild growing sprouts, roots, fruits, and herbs, so they had quite a lot of options to sup upon. Thankfully, Helga my Hedgehog was provisioned sumptuously. I had a variety of seasonings, spices, oils, and other bones for flavouring their meals. With the tiny hedgehog tummies they had inherited, it would be many seasons before they would run out of bounteous supplies, should she choose to stay here, in this cottage, with this young hedgehog man. And stay she did, for the life of a princess is demanding, and being a princess in the eyes of her beloved was enough for her for all of her days. There they stayed, and a modest family, with a few little oaks they doted on and spoiled appreciatively. Helga My Hedgehog's father was sent for, and he came with his wife the Queen, and a royal complement of supplies that lasted them and theirs till the end of their days. No, that was not the end of the celebration, that they should be wed. Rather, that spring day on the last of May was a festival made, and good King Hans and his wife would return and make merry till the end of his days with his favourite daughter, the offspring that made him remember that it is not so very bad to be a hedgehog. And that family line persisted in that cottage for seasons to lose count of, to the time of the founding of the Grand Abbey, which their descendants had a hand in building. But that is a tale for another time, and we hope you enjoyed this original tale, written, theatrically narrated, and directed by Timothy Vavra, and hope you'll tune in for more of our tales and more joys to come in these seasons. We wish you wonderful seasons ahead. If you like this content, tell your friends, like and subscribe, spread the word, tune in for more wonderful content from us for many seasons to come. Yes, indeed.